The Chinese and Mexican civilizations believed that the spirit would actually leave your body, but one of the things that I wanted to address during this time was they kind of got freaked out because they would think that if you woke up during, like, when your spirit would leave your body, that you would die. So there's some people still in the Chinese civilizations and Mexican civilizations that won't use alarm clocks because they're pretty sure that if it goes off when they're not in their body, they're gonna, they're never gonna find their way back. And since we're on this subject, I'm gonna address this a little bit, because when you do astral travel, and everybody does it in the world, again, it's something that's very common, whether you believe it or acknowledge it, it doesn't really matter to me here nor there, but it's done about 3 times a week. You do actually leave your body, but you are connected by a cord. So there's no way, even what happens is if, like, I were to come up and start shaking you and be like, it's time to go, we got to wake up, whatever, and you're out of your body, what happens is you're just going to be super groggy when you wake up. Like, it's going to take you a while. You know how you almost need to jump in the shower to, like, get your consciousness back? That's because you were out of your body at that time, and you really are trying to integrate back into moving your muscles and whatever, and kind of becoming into your waking conscious state. It takes a little bit for transition. So no, you won't die, and otherwise we probably would have heard of people dying in their sleep all the time, right? And when they do, it's not because they were out of body and the alarm clock went off. So anyways, they believed that they could speak to their ancestors, which they still do. And again, that's another thing that I was talking about, is that's a really great time for spirit communication. A lot of times people come to me and say, oh, I had a dream about my grandma, my husband, my brother, my sister, whatever. It was so real. And I'm like, that's awesome. You had a visit. And in my household was very different, of course, but my kids, when they would dream about grandma, grandpa, whatever, they'd wake up in the morning and go, hey, I had a visit from grandma or grandpa last night. Cool, what'd they say? And we'd talk about it like there was an actual visit, because to us it is. That's just what it is. We don't question it. It's fact. And so, but when I start talking to people, again, because they're trained to believe a certain way, think, how would that be possible? And I will always, every time I say, how real did that feel to you? Did it feel like a regular dream? No, it felt different. I'm telling you, you can believe it or not believe it, but that's very cool that happened, because it takes some work on both of our parts to actually connect in at dreams. So, and the other thing, just for any of you in the room, if you do have these dreams, if you become aware of it during the dream, which you might now that we've had this conversation, or one-sided conversation, anyways, you can talk to them and ask them questions, and they'll answer you. You can actually alter. You can ask them questions, how are you doing? What am I doing in career? Can you give me advice on this? Did you see the new baby? They will actually answer you. I do it all the time. And it's not because of what I do. It's because I just know I can do it, and I do. And so I would like you guys to try that if that comes up, because you will be shocked at how cool that is. So one of the first levels I'm going to talk about is your waking state. And that's actually what I call a level 1, but what the sleep research centers will call a stage N1. And so I want to go through consciousness levels, because I just want you to understand more about them so that you kind of get a grasp on what I'm talking about here. That would be when you're listening to music and you're indulging in something wonderful, and just kind of what we're doing right now. It's sort of your waking state consciousness. This is as we're relaxing, though. So I'm not going into your waking state. I'm going into your, what, like I said, what's called an N1. So that's when you're sort of relaxing, right? You're kind of just chilling, you're watching TV, whatever. Then what they call an N stage 2 is what I call a semi-conscious light sleep. So it's a level 2. So that's when you start getting a slower breathing rate. Your alpha waves get longer, your consciousness or your awareness disappears. It'd be kind of like if you were going under hypnosis. So it's kind of like as you're drifting off to sleep, but you can kind of hear the TV go on, you can hear people coming in and out of your house and that sort of thing. So then you go into a stage 3. This is what happens like every night for you guys. Then you go into a stage 3. N3 is what they call it. I call it a level 3. And that's when you start going into a deeper sleep. That's when you have weirder dreams. You're not aware of things going on in the house. You can't hear cars going by. You can't so there's no physical hearing at that point, because you're in another level of consciousness. And so you're actually interacting in your dreams and seeing, bananas and monkeys and weird things or whatever. And there's a point to this, which I'm going to get back to after I get to the last one. Then we go into a level 4, which is what people call a REM sleep. That is where the really cool stuff happens. That's when you're actually that's when you're out of the house completely. That's when you have access to other realities. You have free reign to your natural existence. You have free reign to spirit communication. You have free ability to be able to read yourself on an energetic level and see what's happening with you spiritually and physically. You have the ability to do astral travel. This is when you get your really valuable career information. This is the good stuff. This is really awesome. And then that's when you start to spiritually align. The other thing that's really cool when you go into that sleep is one of the other things I wanted to address is healing. There's been many studies done about healing when you're in a dream state or a sleep state. You know how your doctors always go home and you need some sleep. The reason for that is, when you're in your physical house or your waking state or whatever, and your brain is thinking, well, I'm sick, I'm not feeling good, and I don't know how this is going to make me better, and et cetera, et cetera. When you get to that level 4, you're fully embracing everything. You're spiritually aligning. And once you spiritually align, your body naturally heals itself. You know why? Because all your beliefs are gone. Your limiting stuff is gone. You're not resisting anything at that point. You're fully accessible. And so when you're spiritually lined up, your body will just naturally begin to heal. The white blood cell count goes up. Your wounds begin to heal. Things will naturally heal. The more that you become conscious, the more that you wake, the more you resist, the more it stops. It's just the way it works. Unless, which is where I'm hoping to get you guys, that you start remembering where you were at and realizing what you were doing. Once you start realizing you're a spiritual being with all these levels of consciousness, that you just are doing it 24/7, then you kind of let your guard down, because when you realize that you have other levels of consciousness and other realities exist and all these sort of things, your belief system starts softening and you have less resistance. So when you start with the physical limiting resistance going down, your limiting beliefs going down, your physical resistance going down to other realities and other things, that's when you start spiritually aligning in a waking state. So that's where I'm going to get you to as far as that goes. So anyways, whether you believe this or don't believe it, it doesn't really matter, because if you get to a REM sleep, that is when you're going to naturally align and you're going to naturally begin to heal. So that's always why your doctors want you to do that, because there is studies showing that as well. So you may go straight to a level 4 with not remembering any of the other realities. So you may not remember, level 1, 2, 3 as you go in and just be straight to a level 4. But what usually happens is people don't remember the level 4. They don't remember being spiritually taught. They don't remember going and seeing anybody or visiting or whatever, but they remember level 3. Because when you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're up here doing all the really cool stuff, and then you come back down to 3, what happens is when you're coming back down, you have to translate all that information into all the physical knowledge that you hold. And so this is where it gets kind of neat too, is because if you're very resistant and you only have so much physical knowledge, you really have to do a lot of translation to get that knowledge you learned in level 4 back into level 3 and package it up in this little package so that when you awake, you understand it. But if you don't have very many limiting beliefs and you go, oh, well, we dream, we go into other realities, we learn a lot of stuff, cool, I want to remember what this other stuff is. When you're at a level 4, it won't alter them so much. You won't have so many weird dreams. They'll be clearer because your waking state will be open to whatever you're receiving during your dream state. See, the more limited you are, the weirder your dreams are going to be, the less you're going to remember. The more open that you are, the more you're going to remember, the less you're going to lose in translation. Okay? You're going to understand it more. You're just going to understand it. It's going to be like you've turned the thing from, trying to read Chinese to English. It's just, the more that you're open to the possibility of other realities, the more the interpretation is going to come through clearer for you.